You call it being nice. They call it convenient. You answer every message instantly. You apologize when they mess up. You lower your voice, soften your opinions, and smile like a hostage trying to survive the room. And then you wonder, quietly, pathetically, why no one listens to you, follows you, or fears losing you. Here's the brutal truth you don't want to hear. You trained them to treat you this way. Niceness isn't moral. It's strategic laziness, disguised as virtue. It's the coward's shortcut, hoping approval will buy safety, respect, or loyalty. It never does. It only paints a target on your back. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago, and the final law he reveals, the one most men refuse to swallow, is why good guys always end up controlled, ignored, or replaced. 1. Kindness never creates respect. Men are ungrateful, fickle, liars, and deceivers. And while you benefit them, they are yours entirely. When danger approaches, they turn against you. Niccolo Machiavelli once wrote, "Let's remove the poetry and keep the autopsy clean." You thought kindness was an investment. Turns out, it was a donation with no receipt and no leverage. You believed that being fair, patient, and accommodating would signal maturity, that if you stayed calm long enough, people would eventually notice your moral superiority and promote you. Socially, professionally, romantically. Instead, they notice something else. You never push back, and humans don't respect what doesn't push back. Here's the uncomfortable joke you're part of. You call yourself nice, but what you really are is risk-free. Everyone knows exactly how you'll react. Soft voice, long explanation, another chance. You're not a man. You're a customer service department. Respect doesn't come from how pleasant you are. It comes from how expensive it is to cross you. Machiavelli understood this long before self-help books neutered the idea. People don't calculate morality first. They calculate consequences. Your kindness offered without teeth tells them there are none. No loss. No fallout. No finality. Just another polite conversation where you explain how you feel. They don't fear disappointing you. They fear disappointing people who remove access. This is where your strategy collapsed. You assumed respect was a moral response, something others owe you if you behave correctly. That belief alone places you at the bottom of every invisible hierarchy. Power is not granted by fairness. Power is acknowledged when others feel a shift in their environment if they misstep. Kindness without the capacity for harm is not virtue. It's submission with better branding. And no, this doesn't mean you become aggressive, loud, or emotionally volatile. That's what weak men do when they finally snap. Real authority is colder than that. It doesn't raise its voice. It doesn't threaten. It simply ends things. Conversations end. Opportunities end. Access ends. No dramatic speech. No closure. Just absence. And absence is psychologically brutal. It forces people to replay their mistakes in silence. Anger gives them a target. Distance gives them a mirror. Here's the dark punchline. The world didn't punish you for being nice. It simply categorized you. Safe, predictable, disposable. Kindness didn't fail because it's evil. It failed because you handed it out like free samples. When kindness is guaranteed, it's ignored. When it's conditional, it's respected. Sit with that. Let it burn. 2. Niceness signals a weak negotiation position. Let's be precise and merciless. Every time you lead with niceness, you reveal your hand. You announce, without speaking, that you need the deal more than they do. You smile too quickly. You agree too fast. You soften your demands to keep things friendly. And in doing so, you silently confess weakness. Negotiation is not a moral exchange. It is a test of who can tolerate discomfort longer. You believe being pleasant keeps things smooth. You believe firmness risks conflict. What you don't realize is that your eagerness is being measured like blood in the water. Humans instinctively probe for resistance. When they find none, they push. Slowly, politely, relentlessly. Your nicest tells them 3 things at once. 1. You are afraid of losing approval. 2. You avoid tension at all costs. 3. You will concede before they have to. That is not kindness. That is a bad position. Machiavelli would laugh at modern negotiation advice. Be likable, they say, as if power ever belonged to the most agreeable man in the room. Likability is a cosmetic advantage. Leverage is structural, and niceness erodes leverage because it collapses your willingness to walk away. Here's the law you've been violating. The person who needs the outcome least controls the outcome. But you negotiate like a beggar, pretending to be a diplomat. You explain your reasons. You justify your needs. You try to be understood. Meanwhile, the other side watches you bargain against yourself. They don't even have to apply pressure. You apply it internally. You think saying no makes you difficult. In reality, it makes you expensive. Silence, not persuasion, is the power move. When you stop filling the space with reassurance, people rush to fill it for you. When you pause, instead of conceding, the balance shifts. Anxiety transfers. That's not manipulation, it's physics. And don't confuse this with aggression. Aggression is sloppy. It signals insecurity. Calm refusal, on the other hand, is terrifying. It says, I am prepared to lose this, and you should consider whether you are. Here's the dark humor in all this. You thought being nice made you easier to work with. What it really made you was cheaper. Discounts are not respect. They're clearance labels. The moment you stop negotiating for approval, your value raises. Not because you demanded it, but because you demonstrated the ultimate luxury. Indifference to the outcome. Remember this. The most dangerous man in any negotiation is not the loud one. It's the one who can stand up, thank everyone politely, and leave. Next, we expose the quiet trap you've been stepping into daily. 3. You train people how to exploit you. Let's stop pretending exploitation is rare. It's not. It's learned behavior, and you are the instructor. Every time someone crosses a line and you respond with patience, understanding, or, my favorite, a long emotional explanation, you are not being mature. You are running a training program. You are teaching them exactly how far they can go without consequence. And humans are excellent students. You believe that if you show empathy, people will correct themselves. That if you give them context, they'll feel guilty and change. That logic only works in fairy tales and HR manuals. In reality, people don't respond to explanations. They respond to patterns. And your pattern is forgiveness on demand. Here's the brutal mechanism at work. Behavior that carries no cost becomes acceptable. Then normal. Then expected. By the time you finally snap, everyone is shocked. Not because they wronged you, but because you broke character. You weren't supposed to have a spine. You were the safe one. The accommodating one. The one who always understands. Congratulations. You played yourself. Machiavelli understood that men are not restrained by morality, but by consequence. Remove the consequence, and morality becomes a suggestion, one that is quickly ignored when incentives shift. Here is the law you've been violating with surgical consistency. People do not respect your words. They respect your enforcement. You keep issuing warnings with no follow-through. You say things like, I'm not okay with that, then continue behaving exactly the same. That's not communication. That's comedy. You're announcing boundaries like a man reading laws he has no police to enforce. And the audience knows it. The strategic move is not confrontation. It's correction. Quiet. Immediate. Non-emotional. When someone violates a boundary, something changes. Access, attention, cooperation. No speech. No argument. Just a shift they can feel. That shift is what rewires behavior. And let's address the lie you tell yourself at night. If I enforce consequences, they'll think I'm harsh. Good. Harshness is clarity. Confusion is cruelty. When you are endlessly tolerant, people never know where the line is until they've already crossed it 10 times. You didn't get exploited because people are evil. You got exploited because you were predictable. Predictability is an invitation. The moment you replace emotional labor with behavioral consequence, everything changes. People adjust, or they disappear. Both outcomes are wins. Remember this. You are treated the way you consistently allow, not the way you occasionally protest. Next, we dismantle the most seductive trap of all, the one that keeps you obedient while feeling virtuous. 4. Approval seeking is social self-sabotage. Let's expose the addiction that you keep calling being a good person. Approval seeking isn't kindness, it's hunger. A quiet, undignified hunger to be chosen, validated, spared rejection. And like all hunger, it makes you sloppy. You reach when you shouldn't. You overextend. You say yes with a smile. But resentment quietly rots your spine. You don't want peace. You want permission. You believe that if enough people like you, you'll be safe. That consensus equals protection. So you calibrate yourself constantly. Your tone, your opinions, your posture, editing out anything that might create friction. You don't speak. You pull the room. Machiavelli would call this what it is. Voluntary servitude. Approval seeking flips the hierarchy. Instead of others responding to you, you orbit them. Instead of setting the tone, you absorb. And the moment people sense this, they stop respecting you. Not because they're cruel, but because you've surrendered the center. Here's the law you've been quietly violating. The man who needs approval cannot hold authority. Authority requires the willingness to be disliked, not theatrically, not defiantly, calmly, casually, without apology. The moment you hesitate to speak the truth because it might cost you favor, you've already priced yourself below your audience, and they feel it. This is where the dark humor sets in. You work so hard to be liked, yet you're rarely chosen. People enjoy you, but they don't defer to you. You're pleasant background music, not the conductor. Safe to be around. Easy to ignore. Approval seeking doesn't repel people loudly. It repels them silently. The strategic correction is brutal in its simplicity. Emotional neutrality. You stop chasing reactions. You stop explaining yourself. You state decisions, not feelings. You allow awkwardness to sit in the room without rescuing it. Most men panic at silence. Powerful men let it ferment. Here's the paradox you must swallow. The less you seek approval, the more gravity you gain. Not because people suddenly become nicer, but because they sense independence. And independence reads as strength at a primal level. You were taught to be agreeable so others could be comfortable. You were never taught what it costs you. Approval seeking doesn't just waste your energy. It places your self-worth in hostile territory. The moment you stop auditioning for acceptance, the dynamic flips. People either adapt to you or drift away. Again, both outcomes are wins. Remember this rule, because it burns. Those who need to be liked are controlled by those who don't. Next comes the final law, the one most men reject until it's too late. 5. Fear is the foundation of all order. It is much safer to be feared than loved, if one must choose. Niccolo Machiavelli once said, "This is the line everyone pretends to misunderstand. On purpose, you hear fear and imagine tantrums, threats, insecurity. That's because you've been trained to associate fear with weakness instead of structure. In reality, fear is not chaos. Fear is clarity. Fear is the invisible fence that keeps human behavior within bounds. Love is optional. Fear is operational. You avoided fear because you wanted to be liked. You wanted warmth, harmony, a seat at the table without friction. What you got instead was disorder. People interrupting you, ignoring you, pushing limits just to see if anything would happen. Here's a psychological truth you've been dodging. Humans behave best when consequences are predictable. Fear isn't about panic. It's about certainty. The certainty that crossing you triggers loss. The certainty that disrespect costs something real. Machiavelli wasn't advising cruelty. He was diagnosing systems. Every stable hierarchy rests on one unspoken question. What happens if I don't comply? If the answer is another conversation, your authority is decorative. Here's the final law, stated cleanly. Fear is the mechanism that enforces order when morality fails, and morality always fails under pressure. You believed being loved would protect you. Love evaporates the moment incentives change. Fear, on the other hand, scales. It survives stress. It doesn't require constant maintenance. It only requires consistency. This is where most men choke. They confuse fear with emotional outbursts. That's amateur hour. True fear is calm, silent, and procedural. It's not yelling, it's removal. Not punishment, consequence. Not drama, finality. You don't threaten. You don't warn repeatedly. You don't explain. You act once, and never again. When people know exactly what happens if they cross you, fear does the work for you. You don't need to dominate. You don't need to perform masculinity. The system enforces itself. And here's the dark irony. Once fear establishes order, you can actually afford to be kind. Again, real kindness, voluntary kindness, the kind that isn't begged for or exploited, because everyone knows it can be withdrawn. Fear first, respect second. Affection, optional. You were taught to reverse that sequence. That's why your world feels chaotic. Understand this, and you understand Machiavelli. Order is not built on hope, goodness, or intentions. It is built on the credible possibility of loss. Remove that, and everything decays. This is the law most men reject, until they're surrounded by people who don't listen, don't respect, and don't stop. Now you know why. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Understand this clearly. There is no neutral ground anymore. If you return to being nice, you don't become moral. You become manageable, predictable, easy to bypass. The world does not reward men who hope to be treated well. It organizes itself around men who enforce boundaries without emotion. You've seen the pattern. You've recognized yourself in it. That means ignorance is no longer an excuse. From this point forward, every time you over-explain, seek approval, or tolerate disrespect, you are choosing weakness on purpose. And weakness compounds. This path is not comfortable. It isn't popular. It is controlled, cold, and effective. Step off it, and you will slowly slide back into being ignored, smiling while it happens. If you're done lying to yourself, join the inner circle. Like the video, subscribe to the Shadow Mind Lab. This isn't motivation, it's a warning.